there are still a lot of people that are very plugged into the propaganda from the standard news media.
Well, I know Alad is a big fan of the IRS.
No, I am not a big.
Well,
fan
what do you
of the
mean?
Can't
IRS. I just
afford
hear
that
they're coming back
mustache,
after
that
me,
Bolton-esque
actually.
mustache.
Well, but how are you going to fund your wars?
We fund our.
I got
fund
you.
our wars. Good question. Well, through the trade that our military is able to facilitate, I guess.
Wait, what do you mean? What?
Because our Navy is what allows free trade to happen on planet Earth. So without our
Wait, are we charging people for that?
no, I don't think so.
Should we?
Yeah, we should, maybe.
Okay.
Or we should actually use that influence to get countries to do what we want them to do, which is what we do.
They got to pay. I mean, with the Panama Canal, they should be paying. We built it. It's American. And now the Northwest Passage is coming. The U.S. definitely wants to control that. But yeah, maybe we got to stop doing all this work for free around the world. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we get rid of the income tax. We go with tariffs, and we go with control of these canals that we built.
Maybe if we fire these 6,700 staff from the IRS, the West Virginian tax officials won't come after me from trying to pay tax in multiple states.
Rungo.
Trying to get me to pay.
So that's a whole other component of the West Virginia ridiculousness, is that they're trying to require out-of-state residents to pay taxes in the state because they sold a product to the state. It's absolutely insane. I don't want to just keep going over and over on that story though, but it's almost like the government is broke and they're desperately trying to squeeze as much money out of you as possible. Now let's just go back in time a little bit. Remember when the Democrats hired 87,000 IRS agents?
Yep.
Yeah, and then they started tracking any purchase or transaction $600 or over. They're trying to tax the poor, and they
are trying to tax the poor. The IRS has come out and said that taxing the poor is more effective than going after the rich because the rich can afford to fight in court. If you're going after a rich guy for $2.5 million of unpaid taxes, he will absolutely blow $1 million taking you to court, and the government's got to that's money the government has to spend. They're not going to get the money out of. The guy's going to drag it out as long as possible. Because if the government were like, hey, we're after you for $1 million, and I had the money for it, I'd be like, well, I'll spend $999,999 to make sure that you don't do that.
And it's particularly the probation folks. He's been firing folks who have been probation for the government service.
Yeah, they're new.
Years. That's all it is.
Goodbye.
That's the same thing. Sorry, folks.
Chloe, you're not a like heavy news, culture, and conflict commentator. So I feel like the IRS stuff is probably outside your wheelhouse.
Yes, like I'm slowly moving in that direction, but this is like kind of foreign to me.
Perfect. Do you like the IRS?
Not really.
All right. You see, that's the point. So I'm glad you're here because we can, like all of us, we sit here, we read or watch the news all day, every day. We deal with, filing our taxes. You're in this regard, I know like you're a specialist in a specific cultural area, but in this regard, you're more of a layman. And if you don't like the IRS, then I am right.
No one likes the IRS. I don't know any American that
Let me
really
steel
loves
man,
the IRS
I think
except
this
for-
argument, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think the argument goes along the lines of because it's the most difficult to tax and follow up with the highest earners who are able to avoid the taxes in the most lucrative ways, that we need all of these people, and that the tax revenue that they will bring in will out earn the kind of cost that it costs to employ these people. Is their argument.
But then the argument that they make, we need to get the billionaires and millionaires to pay their fair share. That's BS right off the start. Like, it's a non-starter. We need to have these 87,000 agents so they can go after the millionaires and billionaires, blah, blah, blah. But then the IRS itself says we don't go after those people because it's not worth the effort. So they're actually hiring those people to go after the regular people.
Right now, I guarantee you, Democrats and liberals are probably making YouTube videos where they're like, Elon Musk is firing IRS agents so that he and his crony buddies don't have to pay taxes. Let me just explain something. It takes one IRS agent to handle an account of a billionaire. Now, if they want to do a full audit and go through everything, it's going to take a lot more agents than that. But the decision to target an individual and look at their general finances is not the most complicated thing in the world. What's impossible for the IRS is to go after 3 million individuals. Let me put it this way. One billionaire, as Phil already pointed out, and we as a corporation, and every corporation deals with this, If the IRS comes to you and says, we think you owe X amount of dollars, you look at your tax lawyer and you say, do we owe that? And if they say no, and say, okay, it's going to be cheaper for my tax attorney to deal with this. Or, you call Tax Network USA for it. That's a really good example. That's why I said we have like the best possible sponsor for tonight's show. Imagine you owe $10 million, like they said in the ad. Yo, it's not going to cost you that much to call Tax Network and have them resolve, Tax Network USA, and have them resolve your issue. The IRS is going to waste their time. They're going to say, they're going to cave. They're going to be like, okay, fine. They're going to send their 6,000 agents after 6,700 people. And not just that, 6,700 agents, each one of those agents can probably send a letter to 50 people. And that's just in what, like 1 week? How many letters I got to send out? So if they're going over all these accounts and they're like, look, I've got 10,000 people that each own an average of $10,000. It's like, oh, wow. Well, now we're talking about large stacks of cash, but you need a lot of people to go after it. Go after a billionaire. He's going to fight you tooth and nail. I think it's actually probably easier to explain like this. If a billionaire owes $10 million, he will spend $9 million to save that extra million. Good luck in court. If a regular person owes $10, he's sending you $10 with no fight. So if you can get as many people as possible to send you $10, none of them will fight it. That's what the IRS is all about. That's what they're doing. And I don't care if they're probationary or otherwise. And I don't care what they were doing. Fire them all as far as I'm concerned.
And the billionaires, the rich folks, they know the loopholes. They can get away. What?
It's let me explain it like this. I don't actually think it's fair necessarily to call them loopholes. Before I owned a business with a lot of employees, loophole seemed to make sense.
Yeah.
When you actually get into all of the taxes, there's no loopholes. There's literally just what the law is. Because the IRS agents know exactly when not a billionaire is going to pay. It's not a loophole. They're just like, oh, you don't got to pay taxes on this for this thing. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.